the music obviously got louder. Emmanuel is still not too bad, but I mean it is loud, especially with my hearing aids. So for some people probably have left because of the loudness of the instruments that are being used. And maybe also, like the emphasis isn't quite as strict as it was before. Okay, salvation and commitment would be coming very straightforward. Now the messages are very good, but the direct challenge doesn't come across like it used to in both here and Ebenezer. So that is, and we started Emmanuel 1980, 81. So we've never taken such a black and white approach as we did. I mean, so that, and the music is louder, and young people are not challenged as they were both here and Ebenezer. Like, okay, you accept Christ, become members, and I mean, it comes across, but not, it would be kind of a more of an educated sermon, like she does a good job, she does her homework, and she also presents it quite professionally. But that challenge, at least and I'm not saying times change and maybe that's, but as I say, since we're talking about changes, I mean, this is my impression, and I'm not anti-April by no means, but these are some of my observations, and even furthermore, here in West Abbotsford, it wasn't like that in Ebenezer, but everybody. Like we all had to pay, just like you would pay taxes. Okay, your properties, these are your taxes. Okay, the church fees, they would be divided up evenly. And if you didn't meet your commitments, you probably get a visit from the deacons. And you would be challenged. And I'm not sure if anyone has ever been put out of the church, but that would be then a very serious matter because the deacons then had to deal with it. And maybe, I don't know, if I confuse you going back and forth, I hope I don't. And it would also be, and more so here in West Abbotsford, I know there was young people, I mean, this, you know, if they were dating and, you know, somebody would be pregnant, they'd have to then apologize in front of the congregation. So now if you look at changes, I mean, when we go back, that wasn't the case at Ebenezer. I mean, at least I've never experienced that. But that's how strict it was. I mean, the further back you go, the more strict it is. And I'm not sure when, but it was in late 1958 or something like that. West Abbotsford was kind of leaning more and more, and which is kind of normal, understandable, more into English. Like, right, I mean, after all, English is a language that's being used here. But that didn't sit well with my dad. No, has to stay German. Well, And as we understand, West Abbotsford, a portion, I would say 30 to 40% of the congregation would be people that came after World War II, like me or my parents. And to them, German was also highly important because they didn't really know enough English. But how are you going to learn if you don't? So anyways, so my dad, well, there was 1962, 1961. So my dad, he turned to me. My wife and I had just gotten married in 62, and her father was actually the deacon here in West Abbotsford. So my father said, we're going to leave West Abbotsford, and those that want German, we're leaving. And he put it upon me. He says, you go and get a bunch of signatures, those that want to leave. Okay, I listened. Dad said so, and he, like he himself, he knew a lot of people, but he didn't. So I go and get the names, and okay, you want to leave? Sign your name. And top is mine, and of course my dad and his relatives and so on. So I don't know how many names I got, but I had around 60, 70 names. And I was then appointed to hand them in to P.J. Frozen, was a pastor. We're leaving. Not because we don't like the theology or what's being preached here, or the musical, because of language. So that's how Ebenezer got started. And I know I was right with it, like chairman of the council and stuff like that, but that would then all be in German. Well, some 20 years later, and it wasn't even 20, the church met again at Ebenezer. And there was also the younger generation kind of grew up, like, right? And they said, well, we need some English, and we also can invite people that don't speak German. Well, the church had a long meeting about it, and a vote was taken. No, we're staying all German, that's it, period. But then a little later, a group organized and said, we're leaving. And so they came to me and my brother Jake. He, I don't know, you may know him, he passed away a year ago or so. And wondering whether we would be part of this English group that wants to leave. And so I kind of in some way felt that to be a calling, like Randy, that your dad's been working for. I think he still got baptized. Yeah, he did. He got baptized at Ebenezer. And he's the oldest, and we have a daughter, and Michael is the youngest. He's 6 years younger. Well, we did it for kids, going back to English, but I also felt, well, I mean, if this group wants to start church and we can invite people of those that don't understand the German, so then that's what it should be. And by the way, at that time, I mean, I was 48, 49. But my brother Jake and I, we were considered to be the real old fogies. But anyways, that's how Emmanuel got started. Like, right, we had a service somewhere else until we were able to buy the land and build a building. West Abbotsford, they had their 50th anniversary, and anyone that had been here could come, of course, like always. And so did I. We already were then at Emmanuel, so my wife and I, we both went because we knew a lot of people here, and we still do, actually. And so there was an open mic. And so I take the open mic and said, I was going to try and be a bit humorous about myself and really nobody else, saying, here we left West Abbotsford because of language to Ebenezer, and again we left Ebenezer because of language. German, and I was going to try and make fun of myself, like us, we human beings are. And so then some of the people from Ebenezer, we already were then, as a matter of fact, they knew me quite well. They came personally later on and said, you know what, you don't have to make fun of the German language. Well, I said, please understand, I'm making fun of myself. But yeah, so this is how the changes took place, and it's still taking place, and what the church may look like 20 years from now, that's hard to imagine.